Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Staffiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 4th and 99, your NFL pregame show here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, where we talk all things Broncos with a little bit of NFL sprinkled in. Tonight, or this morning, not tonight, with me, as always, is Matt Staffiero and Keith Brugman. I think it's nighttime or something. I don't know, man. So
sun's coming up so late, you know.
I guess so. Keith,
is it evening? Is it morning? I've been sleeping. It's been a nice long weekend. You know, maybe it's
this crazy weekend. It's been way too long. I watched way too much football. So, Keith, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, starting to warm up here in Montana. You know, woke up to 5 degrees, so it's feeling good. Maybe even get into the teens today. They're saying, so I'm excited.
Well, man, you should head down to the lake and take a swim or something.
I know. I got my brand new bikini. I just got for. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you watch any college football?
You know, actually, I hung out with the wife. We watched some movies, so I didn't get to watch any college football. I got to play catch up now, man.
Any good movies?
Actually, so neither one of us have ever seen the Matrix series, and we want to see the new one, so we're getting caught up. So we watched the first two in the series yesterday. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched a single Matrix movie in my life either. So I don't know. I'm not a Keanu Reeves fan.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, whatever his name is, Can Act Reeves is what I call him.
Wow.
Keanu Reeves is an icon, Dave.
I thought the lock flogger was bad. Holy cow!
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves.
Matt, you're throwing around this icon word way too many times in the last 3 days. You need to slow it down with this icon. Next thing you know, you'll be saying Teddy Bridgewater's an icon.
You're just trying to start something here. I don't know. I might take Keanu Reeves in the replacements. You did Falco as my quarterback over Lock.
Ooh,
dang, man. Boy, shots fired.
Just say you know, come to the kitchen prepared to get burned. You know.
Oh, okay.
Dang, man.
And how you doing this morning, Matt?
I'm alive. It's been a tough week. Unfortunately, health issues are still kind of kicking me in the behind, but we're going to get there one day. This cold will end. Teddy B's a medical insurance icon.
So
the next face of, Aflac or something.
That right there is Teddy B, as Victor says. Teddy B is a medical insurance icon. So, yeah, he'll be doing Aflac commercials or something with Nick Saban next. So,
Matt will be signing up for whatever insurance plan Teddy B is prescribing. So
I don't know about that one, but we'll see.
Can you guys believe that it's already week 17 in the NFL? This thing is just flying by. So
I agree, and a whole new year too, guys. Happy New Year!
Yeah, Happy New Year! First show of the year.
Definitely Happy New Year. So Matt, did you watch any football?
Unfortunately, the only thing I watched were the inside of my eyelids, as I haven't felt the greatest. So no, I didn't watch any football. I recorded it on the DVR, so I'll go back and watch it as I dive into some scouting stuff. And I mean, as you said, season's almost over. That's going to be what we're going to be doing here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's concentrating on scouting and getting prepared for the draft and free agency. So, Our own Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Alex Romero, went to the Rose Bowl. He probably left a little sad. I mean, it looked like they had the game in hand, and then their quarterback got hurt, and, it all sort of went downhill from there, and Ohio State came back and won 48-45. Some exciting games. I mean, definitely were. So, before we get started, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Go over to our website, check them out, and get some rubs and put a little spice into your life. So, all right.
Spice up 2022.
That's right. Spice up 2022. Definitely.
Let's do it.
So let's spice up some NFL talk. Matt, the Broncos have been decimated by COVID. We pretty much avoided it, for the most part for most of the year. I mean, we had a couple players here and there, but
yeah,
we got whacked this time. So, Matt, you got a list of who's all on COVID and not playing today?
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be let's see, Broncos players on COVID list. So it's going to be Andre Mintz, Mike Purcell, Calvin Anderson, Caden Stearns, Tim Patrick, Tyree Cleveland, Stephen Weatherly, Mike Ford, Bobby Massey, Bryce Callahan, Bradley Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, Jonathan Cooper, Baron Browning, McTelvin Agim, and Coach Bill Kolar. So a gigantic list with about 7 or 8 starters on there, and quite a few rotational guys as well, like Agim and Weatherly. So Broncos are running a skeleton crew today. 11 players were called up from the practice squad, I believe, is what I seen that last time. Yeah, 11 practice squad players. And I got that list too. Might as well just ramble it off real quick. Running back, Demara Crockett. Wide receiver, Travis Fulgham. Wide receiver, Seth Williams. Wide receiver, Rico Gafford. Outside linebacker, Peter Tampupinu. I cannot say it, so I apologize. Not outside linebacker. Tackle, Quinn Bailey. Safety, veteran, Clinton Dix, DL Jonathan Harris, offensive tackle, Drew Himmelman, Marquise Spencer, end, and Barrington Wade. So, bunch of nobodies, but might as well give them a shout out. I mean, they shouldn't be called nobodies, but
and Keith out of the people on the list. I mean, what's your top 2 players that we're probably going to be missing today?
Just because of the position, probably Bobby Massey and Calvin Anderson, both sitting a tackle, both out. That's a huge hole. All of a sudden, we got Quinn Bailey coming up from the practice squad that's going to be heavily leaned on today. So, hate to just talk about one position, but being that far cut into tackle is devastating onto an offensive line that's been patchwork as it is.
Yeah, and the Chargers can bring some pressure.
Isn't Cam Fleming healthy though? So wouldn't he get to start over Bailey?
Yeah, I agree, but I think you're right. I think you're right, but we're gonna have to give that guy a break. You know what I mean? I don't like the idea of Quinn Bailey being your rotational guy necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not liking that either.
So yeah, you're right. Good point though.
I forgot about that. No, it just took me back when you said 2 tackles. I was like, well, wait, don't we have at least one healthy tackle?
Can't we find someone?
I was worried for a minute. I mean, and the Himmelman, I mean, he's even more inexperienced. This is his first time on the active roster. So.
And I may have missed it, but was Garrett Bowles on the list of COVID guys or not? He's already had COVID, right?
Yeah, he's already been on the list back.
I mean, you can get it again. So, but
yeah.
I mean, so I just couldn't remember if I heard his name or not. So
no, Garrett Bowles.
Yeah,
Dave, I'll say this though, real quick, man. You've been talking about what a disappointment our coaching staff has been, and this is one thing, like you said, we've been doing really well at. This is a disappointment as well. To have this many guys land on the COVID-19 list again. I think I spoke to it many times. The teams that are going to do well are the teams that actually could manage this and manage it well, and this is not a very good sign of this team and this coaching staff being able to get through to these players and make sure that they're healthy. I just don't like the way this looks at all.
I don't either. And I think at this stage of the season, I mean, practice isn't really necessary. You can go over game plan, and everything else through Zoom and everything else. Yeah, go out there and have a walkthrough maybe on Thursday or Friday, just so everybody. But these guys have chemistry built with each other. I mean, you should know the playbook by now. If you don't know the playbook by now, I understand
the disappointment for me is that, honestly, this was Drew Lock's next game to see if he continued to progress. And now I think it's going to be very difficult when you talk about, backup linemen, backup receivers, and just trying to throw this all together out here. And it doesn't look like it's not going to look like a game that you can say, boy, we game plan bad for. I mean, we're going to have guys that aren't running routes right, not blocking correctly. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? It could be ugly.
And I hope the lock floggers out there really realize this. I mean, if this game turns ugly, this is in no way Drew Lock's fault, unless Drew Lock just comes out and throws 5 interceptions, directly to, to the Chargers defenders. But I mean, even tip balls and things like that may be, that's just an uneducated fan, in my opinion, but sorry, I didn't mean
we're gonna have those. We're gonna have those.
Right. Yeah, we are,
No, I agree.
I lost my train of thought. I mean, tip balls and things like that, because timing issues and everything are going to be off. I mean, it may turn very, very ugly.
Yeah, so. I think, you can still see a little bit of progression. You don't want to see him, taking the bad sacks like he used to, or scrambling out of the pocket badly, or, you know what I mean? Or just not getting off as number one receiver and stuff like that. He still needs to go through the progression, even if he has issues, right?
Yeah. And go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, we have a Jody Moncrief that's jumping in on Facebook saying nothing is ever Locke's fault. Well,
and that's not true. I think we have all sat here and held
quarterbacks,
right,
and it is.
I think we have all sat here and we've held Locke accountable when Locke needs to be held accountable, just like we have Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, we all have our different opinions on who we would like to see as the quarterback, but I don't think we sit here and give anybody on this show a free pass.
I'll be the first to admit I'm the guy who said I didn't want Drew Lock to be starting. I wanted Teddy Bridgewater. I'm the guy who, up until now, where now it's time to see that. It's time to see Drew Lock. There's no reason not to see Drew Lock, and there's no reason not to root for Drew Lock. He looked pretty good last week. I just want to see him play again this week really well, and it's just going to be inhibited. So it's going to be tough.
And this statement here, and I don't want to make this, let's go off on a Lock tangent, but last week, Lock seemed to clean up all of these issues.
Correct.
So, I mean, give the kid a break. I mean, I really hope for Lock's sake that, because we all know he's not the answer here in Denver. It's just, I believe is damaged beyond, repair. Go somewhere else where you have a fan base that's not just gonna, just despise everything you do, right? So, and go somewhere else, and let's not cry, Bronco fans, if Locke turns out to be a decent quarterback in the NFL, which he has the talent to. We know you'll live, Matt.
I'll live either way.
Well, we know you will.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, I cry over enough spilled milk and missing on Josh Allen, but I'm not going to cry over that one.
Right. And yes, Locke is better than Rippon. In other words, Rippon will be starting ahead of Locke.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the bottom line is, I've said it with you guys. I've agreed. There was improvements last week. The biggest problem is, can we see it stack him? Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to fairly assess if he can actually stack it unless he does. So, I mean, in a sense, this is as great of a situation as you can make it for Locke. There's not going to really be an accountability piece unless he goes out and tosses 5 terrible interceptions or something like that. If he goes out, so essentially the way that Drew Lock has to approach this game is, I can only make myself look better.
Right.
I can only buy what I'm been given. I'm given the ragtag squad of nobodies. So Drew Lock can only look at this game one way, is I can only improve my stock here or somewhere else, or I'm going to get every free pass if I come out there and totally crap the bed. So I mean, who knows with it at this point with Drew Lock? But I'm with you guys on that. It's not really a fair assessment to hold him accountable if he comes out there and throws for 220 yards, but we get smoked by 40 points because we don't have a defense today. Right. So I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, Locke can come out. Locke can have a fundamentally sound game, and if he does, then you have to give him credit again and say, okay, maybe he is learning, and then we'll see what Denver decides to do next week, with Kansas City coming to town. Are they going to throw Teddy back out there?
If Vic's here, what's going to happen.
If he's cleared, which in my opinion, if I was Teddy, I'd say I don't want to go out there.
I mean, he could.
Yeah, he definitely could. He could say, I'm just not feeling up to playing, and say that has some nagging injury. My lower leg hurts. So,
second opinion. That's all you need. Second opinion that says maybe you shouldn't go out there.
Right. So it just really does him no good. So, and we appreciate the props there, Jody, and hopefully Bowles doesn't hold all day, but he's facing some scary guys today. I think Bose is back and healthy, and so it's gonna be interesting. So
yeah, and once again, for a guy who struggled really early in his career, Garrett Bowles, I know he's had a couple mistakes, and he had one key, penalty in a Drew Lock drive, but guy's been pretty clean once again this year. He can't complain too badly about the penalties he's taken and the amount of penalties we've had from him. So
right. No, I agree. I think Bowles has had another. It wasn't as solid as last year, but I still think he's a solid starting left tackle, and it would really hurt us if he was gone.
Paid. Yeah, he'll be all right. We got him for a couple more years.
Yeah. So all right, let's move on. Last week, Denver could not run the ball to save their lives.
They can't do anything offensively to save their lives.
Our leading rusher was Javonte Williams. He had 12 yards.
Yeah.
Our next leading rusher was Drew Lock with 10 yards. And then we had our friend Melvin Gordon with 7 carries for -4 yards. So I'm going to ask you the question, Keith. There was, in my opinion, one key component missing from that offensive line, and that was Lloyd Cushenberry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Lloyd Cushenberry is, the most important piece to that line?
I think he's quickly becoming the most important piece to that line, especially when you look at he's stepped up so well in that position. He's young. He's under contract. He could be there for a very long time. And I think we did absolutely see his absence last week. It was not a pretty look. That on top of some questionable play calling as well. But
right.
Boy, that offensive line just looked out of sorts. It did not look in sync at all, and I would put a lot on the fact that Cushenberry wasn't in the lineup.
Yeah, and Matt, you and I talked about this a little bit, and centers have a lot of responsibility on that line. I mean, they're calling out adjustments and protection schemes and things like that. So, do you think Schlottman was just in over his head?
I just don't think he has the chemistry. He doesn't have the relationship with those guys that Cush does. I've talked to a couple other offensive linemen, and it's really all about relationship and trust that person making those calls knows what they're doing. This one lineman I talked to said it's not often that a lineman will not trust who's making those adjustments and just go off and do what they think is best, just to try to make a play happen, especially with the younger offensive linemen. Unfortunately, we had unfortunately, Schlottman's not that old. Quinn Miners is a rookie. Reisner is still kind of on the younger side. So I just don't think there was that chemistry there. I don't think that Schlottman has he's not used to the speed of the NFL at this point. He kind of got called in cold. I wonder if it would have been more interesting to see Miners slide out and Moody slide into right guard. I wonder if that would have been a better push, because at least get 2 guys who've been out here recently. But back to Cush, I think he is the most important piece of the offensive line. A lot of people want to claim that he's the weakness, but he's the brains of the operation. He knows what he's doing. He's got these guys set up in good position all the time. Even when it was makeshift right tackle and left tackle, when Bowles was there and Anderson got hurt and they had to throw in Bailey at that point, that offensive line still stuck together. And it's because they had a guy they trusted setting these protections, calling these adjustments. And Cush has silently become the most important piece, and I'm just hoping he continues to get better.
Yeah,
he went from 32nd to 10th on PFF's rankings.
Right, and I think he's really underappreciated and undervalued by a lot of the fans. I mean, I think Cushenberry has really stepped up, has become a key component.
Watched a small piece on Cushenberry. I don't know if you guys caught it at all, but you know what his primary sport was? It wasn't football.
Wrestling, I'll say.
What is it? Basketball.
Basketball.
Oh, wow.
And he's actually said, he goes, I used to handle the ball as well, bring it up the court. He goes, he said, in regards to how he relates it to football, he goes, I think of myself as the point guard. Because I got to go up there and I got to get everybody set into position, you know what I mean? As I'm like a point guard would, coming up the court. So just a great mentality. I think he's got a lot of potential, and to have a center in this league, it's one of those positions that people are covet having a quality center in this league. So
I agree 100%, and I think that may be the second most difficult position on the offense behind quarterback. Correct. And everyone, please remember, Cushenberry is only in his second year. He's only going to get better. So, I mean, let's not jump off the ship. But I do like Jody Moncrief's question or statement here. It's definitely not Reisner as far as, the best player on the line or the most important. Reisner seems to be struggling. And Matt, you brought this up the other day. Is Reisner maybe somebody we look at shifting back out to right tackle?
I think it's a possibility. Definitely pending, what's going to happen moving forward with the quarterback situation. Because you don't know if you're going to use a bunch of your capital, draft capital, and financial salary cap to bring in this veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. If that's the case, you're going to have to kind of start to look at how you can plug some of these holes with current players on your roster. Reisner played right tackle at Kansas State. They got a decent guard that's sitting the bench right now in Netani Moody. They still have Graham Glasgow under contract for another year. If they choose to keep him, why not see if he can move over? If one of them can step into guard and see if he can come over to tackle. He has started to struggle at left guard. A lot of it was people thought it was because he was having to mentor Cushenberry. Well, now Cushenberry is kind of surpassing him in level of play. They thought he was having to cover for Garrett Bowles. Well, Garrett Bowles continues to play well. He's starting to find himself as the odd man out. The big issue with switching him to right tackle is he doesn't necessarily have your traditional wingspan, which could he could get bullied by bigger guys.
Yeah, and when Matt and I were talking about this, I brought up, does he really have the athleticism, to play out there on right tackle and get put on an island with some of these, edge rushers? What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I don't like the idea at all. I definitely have seen a regression from Reisner this year, but I honestly, I'd love him to be able to stay at that position and try to get a little bit better or replace him. Right. I don't like the idea of putting him out there. He's been slow on when he's pulling, on running plays in the blocking scheme. If he's slow on the interior of the line, I definitely don't need him out there, like you said, isolated with some of the best guys in the NFL. Short arms aside, I just don't like the footwork at all.
Yeah, I have a question. Part of it, do you think motivation's a factor? Do you think he's just tired of losing and being part of an unproductive offense? Because, granted, K-State didn't win a ton of games, but they had a very highly productive offense.
The only thing I don't like about that, Matt, is here's an offensive line that's been doing very well as a group outside of him this entire year, especially when it comes to pride in the running game.
I'm not saying it's a mentality I agree with. I'm just saying, is that a factor?
Well, and
I just have a hard time with that. You know what I mean? Him having that mentality when everybody around you is, especially when it comes to the running game, right? We've talked about how great the running game is up until this last game. Leaning on the young guys and just getting behind that running game and going at it. And these guys have. And if he's the one guy that's the odd guy out that's all hurt because he's not winning, well, I agree with Jody. Maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah, you would think that he would be full of motivation. It's this hometown team. He came in with all that fire, and we've slowly seen it kind of dissipate. Maybe he just hasn't gotten fully healthy. Who knows? There could be various underlying reasons.
Could be a lot of reasons. But if he does have that attitude, that, I'm just tired of being on a losing team, then you don't want a player like that on your team anyway. So, and Jody Moncrief does ask one other question: would you consider moving to Reisner to center? And I definitely would not. I think we're solid at center with Cushenberry. So.
No touching. Leave that one alone.
All right. So with the receivers out, we got Judy out. We have Tim Patrick out.
Tyree Cleveland out.
Right. So what does Pat Shurmur need to do today to help Drew be successful? Okay, Matt, you got your hand up. Matt has the answer. So
can he quit? Is quit an option? Can he quit? Can Pat Shurmur just quit?
He can quit.
That would be the best thing for Drew Lock right now. Just have
Did you hear about the Ohio State player? He retired from football at halftime yesterday.
Yeah, if Pat Shurmur can quit, that'd be the best thing for Drew Lock right now. Right. But no, in all seriousness, the go-to answer everyone's going to want to say is run the ball. And we've seen what happens when that tries to be Pat Shurmur's go-to to helping Drew Lock out. These teams know that there's not going to be such a passing chemistry like the Raiders did last week. They knew that was Drew Lock's first game back, and he didn't have that rapport, that timing set up yet. So what did? They bottled up his best friend, which would have been the run game. They've had funnel run defense the entire time. They completely eliminated it. The Chargers are likely coming in with that same mentality. They want to put the game completely on Drew Lock as he's still fresh. He still doesn't, he's still building these things up. They know that he's competent enough and has the physical traits to put the ball here or there. But just like how many of us have questions about this or, making these mental mistakes, footwork here, planting, they have all that information as well. They want to force Drew Lock to be that type of quarterback. Well, so the run game is not going to be what's going to help them. The best thing that can help them today, get the running backs involved in the passing game. Do what the Chargers do with Eckler. Hit screens, get them times. Have that. You try to get, have them step it back so that's not just it's either going to be a run or a 15-yard in or 15-yard out. There's not going to be that your receivers, your starting guys aren't there. Utilize your running backs in the passing game to build some of those early connection, get Drew Lock in a groove, and then try to pound the rock after you kind of get those linebackers spread out again. That's my quick fix.
My quick fix is, I guess it's kind of similar. I want to see double tight end sets, but I want to see us running and passing out of them both. I think that's the perfect scenario because in a double tight end set, now we've got the blockers to be out there, and we haven't been hitting the tight end room. Similar to the running back room. If we're running and passing out of a double tight end set, we can keep the Chargers off kilter all day long without having to change our setup all that much. So that's what I would like to see. A little Alberto, a little Noah Fant, get a Javonte Williams back there, a little bit of motion. You can motion them to both to one side and still pass out of it.
Yeah,
both to one side and run out of it. It's a great scenario in my opinion.
The reason why that's a great scenario is because there's two receivers he trusts more in that tight end room than is what he's going to have as his actual wide receivers.
Correct.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. I think Albert O and Noah Fant have to be huge parts of the game plan today. I mean, I'm excited to see Seth Williams, though. I like Seth Williams. I think he's going to be a good receiver in the future, so it'll be nice to see him. But unfortunately, Locke doesn't have a lot of chemistry built up with him. But we know Locke has chemistry with both Albert O and Noah Fant. So yeah, those guys need to be huge in the game plan today. Also, call screens, but let's be smart about them. Let's not call them on 3rd and 14. Pat, come on, that's not going to work for you. We go 1-10 last week for 3rd downs, and everyone blames Locke. But you go back and you look at the play calls, and there were all kinds of issues with play calls and stuff that weren't gonna net you first down attempts anyway.
Screen passes and draw plays on 3rd and long. It's got to be one of the worst things to watch.
Yeah, it definitely
you're conceding. You're just
that's pretty
fine
much
with
what
punting.
it is. Yeah, we don't want to make a mistake before we punt, so we're just going to call this safe play here. So
get 3 yards, boys.
Yeah. Who do you think is the workhorse today? Is it Javonte? Is it Melvin Gordon? Is it back to almost a 50-50 split? How would you like to see it today, Keith?
How I'd like to see it, probably just a 50-50 split, but who will actually be more productive? I think it's another day for Melvin Gordon to go off. It's going home, right?
Yeah.
San Diego. So I expect Melvin Gordon to be a little bit more motivated today, maybe put a little bit more behind it. 50-50 split, but I think Gordon comes out with the better statistics in the end.
Okay. Matt?
See, I'd rather see Javonte Williams continue to get the rock more. At this point, we're kind of trailing off to Melvin Gordon getting his next opportunity. I mean, it might as well kind of start to get this kid used to what it's going to be like to be the workhorse back, because the likelihood of Mike Boone getting 14 carries and him 14 carries next season is probably pretty unlikely. So I would just keep getting this kid the rock, let him get, used to what it's like to be RB1.
Right. So, Matt, based on that, what is the most you would pay Melvin Gordon to come back and be RB2 next year?
I wouldn't pay him to come back and be RB2 next year. I just don't think it's worth the financial asset. Unfortunately, I don't think he would probably take what would be offered to be an RB2.
Keith, do you have a dollar value that you would bring Melvin Gordon back at? No, and let's just say he would take it.
Okay. I'd say no higher than $8 million a season.
Which is what he's about at right now. So, I mean, I would bring him back maybe 5 or 6 and see if he'll take it. Melvin Gordon's a good running back. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him back here, but with the understanding that, hey, you're going to be second fiddle, you're still
a lot of money to play the number 2, though.
Well, don't you want sort of a proven guy, though? I mean, I know you can go out in the draft and you can find running backs a dime a dozen. So we'll see how they go. That's an off-season topic, though. Yeah, we'll get into. So let's see. Okay, Locke last week had a improved performance, we'll all say, from a mechanical issue, just processing the game and everything else. Keith, what does he need do today to show progression, even more progression? And what kind of stats would you like to see from him today to say, yeah, this guy's improving and maybe he does have a chance?
Boy, honestly, what I saw last week wasn't that far off from what I want to see today, especially given the circumstances. Again, I think we're pretty beat up when it comes to our COVID-19 list. We're going to have some issues. We're not going to always be in probably the best field position. We're not going to actually, have some of our best receivers out on the field or our best linemen out on the field. So a slightly better improvement, a slight improvement over last week. Obviously, I'd love to be able to hang a touchdown or 2 on the board. I'd like to see those numbers probably jump by about 5 in both the completions and the attempts. Get up to about 27 attempts and 20 completions at that point and a touchdown. The biggest thing is he's went out against the Chargers. He's had 5 touchdowns and he's had 5 interceptions.
Right.
So he needs to be better in his touchdown to interception ratio. So if he goes out and only throws 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions, I'm fine. If he goes out and throws 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, I'm fine. If we start going right back to even and he goes back to some of the things that we've seen him regress, I think, again, if he can just go through everything we saw him process, everything that he did last week, stepping up in the pocket, not taking bad sacks, not trying to force balls into places he shouldn't. He didn't do any of those things last week. So if he goes out there and does that with a beat up line and wide receivers that may not even run the right routes for him, then I think that's a great step for him.
All right, Matt, what's your thoughts?
So a lot of what Keith is saying, I think the big thing, just to highlight what Keith said, is that touchdown interception ratio. That's going to be a big one to keep an eye on today. But the other part is not forcing the ball. Right now, he's got a ton of receivers that he doesn't know. Just because he knows and trusts Cortland Sutton, he knows and trusts, Fant and Alberto, don't limit yourself to just those 3 guys. Get out of that mentality. You're going to have to trust these guys who are running these routes. If they're open, don't hesitate. Hit him when he's open. Don't try to force the ball downfield, because then you're going to see those interceptions. So Drew Lock's going to have to get in that mental clock that if he sees Rico Gafford or whatever guy you've never heard of, I've named off the list, open, running across the field, hit him and try to hit him in stride. Don't just hold the ball looking for the guys you trust, or it's going to be a very, very bad game for him.
Yeah, and that's when I went back and rewatched the game, and those are some of the things I noticed from Locke. I mean, yeah, he had a great game from a mechanic issue, or he stepped up into the pocket. He had good pocket presence. He didn't evade the pocket like he used to do all the time, but he was late on a few throws. And he had a few overthrows. And I think a lot of that could have been, getting back on timing with these guys. But now you got another group of guys coming in that you don't really have the chemistry built with, and you're going to have to work it. So I agree with Matt. Get the ball out on time, and hit these guys when they're open. Put the ball on the receivers and let them make the throw or make the plays. So that's all you can really do. You do your part. Let the receivers do their part.
And this is one of my fears today. Is I'm the house lock flogger. I'll be honest. I'm worried that part of the reason why we were able to see some of those cleanups last week was because he had people he could trust. He knew Jerry Jeudy. He's got these really. I'm worried we're going to see some of these tendencies kind of fall back into play with him not knowing people, not knowing the timing exactly. Scatting around, jumping off the back leg, like Jody says here in the comments here. I'm worried we may see some of that come back today, but at the same time, you have to take it with that weighted scale. Is this that this is all new? This is all nuance to him. I mean, the basis of the game is the same, but the people playing it are all new to him. So it may take a while. So I'm not going to sit there and say every single throw he has just because I thought the back leg today is bad. And typically I would. Unless he does it like every single play, then I may never shut up, but we'll see.
And I'm starting to believe, Matt, that Jody Moncrief here is one of your charter members of the Let's Hate Drew Lock Club. So, I mean, how can you expect?
It's not hate; it's just one commanding excellence.
How can you expect anything? He had 0 TDs last week with his starters.
It's not a terrible point, though. She's got a point.
Not a terrible point, but terrible play calling. So, and then
I went back. I'm going to go back to this. What can you expect from a quarterback when there's two sides to the game? There's a passing game and there's a running game.
Right.
What did the running game do for Drew Lock last week?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. So if he was going to be productive, it was all on him. It was all on him.
And that's what I'm fearful the Chargers are going to try to do again today is put this
Well,
game
the thing is, though,
on him.
he has guys out there that he has, chemistry built with, and that's Noah Fant and Albert O. And if you need to use these guys, then use them. Don't make stupid decisions. And Locke needs to show that he is growing and maturing mentally, and he's not going to go out there and try to be the hero. And I'm going to throw an 80-yard touchdown, to Seth Williams and try to fit the ball in there. And, it's just a bad decision.
Absolutely right.
So.
Absolutely right. That's one of the biggest things he needs to continue to build on. He did a good job of that last week.
But he
also did it with an offensive line that we all talked about was terrible last week. Right? The offensive line did not look good last week. Obviously, they didn't produce any running yards. You know what I mean? I don't think they helped him out all that much in the passing game as well. A lot of that
last week was a terrible. Yeah, and like I said, I said this in our group chat. Drew Lock had one of the better overall performances from making the right reads, stepping out of the pocket. A lot of what David already said. This is one of his best games he's had, demonstrated it. Unfortunately, this was one of the worst offensive games we've had, and this is where it kind of stinks to be a quarterback who's been up and down. Is unfortunately, even though you had a great game, you're falling under the umbrella.
Right, because everybody's just going to look at the stats and they're not going to look at the game, and they're going to say, oh, Locke had another bad game. Not seeing that he hit 68% of his passes, not seeing that on third downs he was throwing the ball past the chains, and Jody brings up another point. You could say last week he was scared to take a chance because it could make a mistake. I don't think that's it. I don't think it's a fear. I think that's more maturity, more the developing part of I'm not going to take these unnecessary risks.
Correct.
Now, if we can get the run game going today, that is a huge, huge factor in Drew Lock's success, because last year Drew was ranked top 10 in the NFL passing out of play action.
Wow.
So if we can get that going and Drew has that comfort to run out of the play action, he can make some plays happen. So, all right, let's move on. Yeah, we definitely will see. Let's move on to the defense. We've beat on Locke a little bit too long. Well, not beat on him, but talked about him too much. So
yeah,
let's talk about the defense now. So when we played them last time, we were able to contain their up and down offense. I think Vic sort of has Herbert's number. I think he sort of gets in his head. What do you see, Keith? What do you see the Chargers doing, coming out, trying to do different to throw this Denver team off balance?
I think it's going to be key for them to get the running game going. Something they didn't do last time out, and get those running backs maybe just more involved. I was surprised at the amount of times we didn't see screen passes or just an outlet pass to a running back out of the backfield. So I see them focusing a lot on that running game, trying to get that going so that they can loosen up the passing game for Justin Herbert.
Hey, Matt, what do you expect to see from the Chargers?
I expect to see them having a very, very big game today. There's a lot of, fifth string players out there today. The entire linebacker core, I mean, it's essentially Malik Reed and a guy they're calling up off the practice squad to contain edges. Austin Eckler is going to have a field day if they can't contain him. If he breaks the edge, I'm worried he's going to have one of his best games, which is great for me in fantasy. Same thing, middle of the field is going to be a big thing. Both starting linebackers are out. They're going to be using practice squad guys. And there's not much depth behind them if they start to kind of grind these guys out. I mean, look how good of a game Jackson had last week. They got two capable running backs. They can pound the rock, tire this defense out, and allow Justin Herbert to do what he does best. It's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out in that. But I think the Chargers offense is in for a big game today, and it's just going to be lack of talent on the Broncos side.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, plus the Chargers really have something to play for. Yeah, we can sit here and say, well, Denver's not mathematically eliminated, Well, yeah, it would take a minor miracle for the Broncos to get into the playoffs, but the Chargers are actually still playing for something, So I see them just coming out and with a good game plan, and I see us, having issues like Matt said, because we got a lot of substitute players in there, and COVID hit us at a bad time. And
I have a feeling Kyle Fuller will be a giant liability today.
He may be, and Bryce Callahan is out, correct?
Yep.
So, yeah. So it could get bad. So Mike Williams or Keenan Allen? Who are you going to concentrate on the most, Matt, to stop?
This is kind of what they do. They get you to focus on Keenan Allen because he's the flashy one, the speed one, and then Mike Williams is the one who's putting up, 3 touchdowns a game. So it's kind of a double-edged blade here. But Allen's the one you got to keep an eye on because once he gets going, you can't turn him off.
Keith?
I have to agree, man. Keenan Allen is a beast, and his mentality, and once he starts getting the ball, is second to none. You don't want that guy to get rolling. Mike Williams is scary, but I would focus on Keenan Allen.
Right, and Jody Moncrief says Allen as well. So, Keith, with that, who do you put on Allen?
Gosh, honestly, it's probably the one guy I'm doubling the most often. There's not, outside of those two guys, I'm not too scared. Again, you got Mike Williams, you got Keenan Allen, but tight end Jared Cook.
Well, luckily for us, Jared Cook's out today. So
there you go. Austin Eckler is probably the number 3 guy in their receiving game. So, it's the guy I'm doubling. I'm giving as much help as needed. I agree. Callahan is someone that could. Fuller is someone that could definitely struggle. So give him some help.
Yeah.
Matt, and I mean,
is this somebody you just lock PS2 up on?
No, I would want Ronald Darby because, like I said, Keenan Allen is a person you have to keep cool. He's not the one. You have to be careful. If you're looking at the stats right now, Mike Williams has just a little less yards than Keenan Allen, but has 2 more touchdowns. They're both essentially 1,000-yard receivers. They're both have been dominant. Mike Williams is undoubtedly he is the number 2 threat on this offense. Mike Williams is the one you got to watch out for in the double coverage. You're going to have a safety over the top. That's who they utilize in the Cortland Sutton role, where it's running these verticals and 50-50 balls. This is where you got to have that blanket coverage, because even though PS2 is our biggest corner, Mike Williams got a little bit more air, and he's a lot bigger, way bigger build. Mike Williams has the body of a tight end with the speed of a receiver. If I'm double teaming someone, it's got to be Mike Williams. I trust Ronald Darby on Keenan Allen, unless they start doing the clear out and rub routes. Then that's when Keenan Allen becomes a huge issue for us, because we haven't been able to stop it all season.
Last game, Keenan Allen had 7 for 85. So Mike Williams was 4 for 39.
Yeah, that was last game.
That was last game. Okay. Wow. Okay.
No, I misunderstood. I thought you meant that was the last game they played, not the last game against us. I apologize.
No, last game against us.
Oh yeah, Keenan Allen always finds a way to have a big game against us.
I'm telling you, he's just like one of those guys that it scares for me to get him rolling. Mike Williams doesn't seem to get rolling like Keenan Allen does. Keenan Allen gets mad, he gets angry, starts ripping balls down. I mean, he's the guy that I want somebody coming over and trying to get that ball knocked loose from him, try to get him frustrated, because I think you can also take a guy like that out of the game, where Mike Williams seems to be that steady component.
Yeah, if you could get into Keenan Allen's head, maybe you take him out of his game a little bit. So maybe Darby just plays him a little tight today, You
remember Keenan Allen
push him around a little
in the
bit.
Press conference a couple years ago, where I feel like they lost to us, and he's like, "The Broncos suck."
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's right.
Yep.
I can't stand the dude. He's
right.
He's one of the guys
after we just
stand.
put a beat down on him, then he comes out and he says that. So
that's right. Yeah.
So all right, really quick, we're all sitting here. We're wondering. Matt posted today that the Broncos don't know what they're doing with Vic Fangio. No decisions have been made, which, I mean, probably maybe they have. They're just not leaking anything right now. If Denver goes out today, does this pretty much and loses ugly, even with all the COVID issues and everything else, because it's sort of like Keith said, now the issue is how the Broncos manage this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Is this maybe seal Vic's fate, and at the end of the season he's gone? What do you think, Keith?
No, I'm gonna hang with my hat. I think GP has given the rope. He's given the rope to Vic Fangio and the rest of this coaching staff, giving them everything that they wanted. He'll go out there, he'll get the players, he'll make the trades, he'll make trades with Von Miller even, you know what I mean? He'll do anything that this coaching staff wants, but this coaching staff is up to the decisions of this coaching staff, and they get the year to do what they were going to do. And I think they're going to go ahead and they're going to go through the year.
Right. No.
And then we're going to see that change.
Right.
I just don't,
I didn't mean fire him after today's game.
Okay.
Just seal his fate for the end of the season. I've come to realization, as much as I hate it, that Vic Fangio and Pat Shurmur are going to finish the season out with jobs, But if we go out and just play horrible today, is Vic pretty much sealing his fate, especially if he goes out there and just mismanages the game again and everything else, sort of like he did COVID.
Yeah. I would love to say yes, Dave. I do have some hesitation, though. I would say 80% of me says yes. How's that? There's 20% of me that worries that this organization, regardless of what Vic Fangio does, brings him back next season, just because of all the other things that we have going on in the background for our franchise, right? But 80% of me says yes. How's that?
Yeah. And this is starting to heat up. Jody Moncrief says Denver wants Dan Quinn, and I would be on board with that if we brought in a hot up-and-coming OC. And, Matt and I have talked about this before. I would welcome Dan Quinn here, because I think Dan Quinn, because everybody's argument is, well, if Vic Fangio leaves, then what about the defense? Well, bring in Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn could get something out of these players. We're still going to have the players,
It's still a new defense, so different scheme. it may not have the same production.
Right. This is another great thing. I feel Fangio would rather lose 13-10 than win 31-28.
Yeah, that's not wrong. I mean,
that is his mentality.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question though about sealing fate and up in the air, I truly feel like the Broncos don't know exactly what their direction is. I think there is some sense of that. I think they have different things planned out. I think they've talked about the different avenues they can go to, but I don't think they have their mind made up on which way they want to go with it yet. I think they wanted to give Vic Fangio the last 2 games to see what could happen. Now we get this COVID outbreak. We see these things happen. He's got forced to deal with the quarterback he doesn't want as his starting quarterback. I mean, I don't know. If he comes out and he remains competitive, he might have sealed his fate in getting another shot, which we don't agree with. But I do still think that there is a very decent sized possibility he's back. I mean, other places that you're starting to kind of have, these images of people on hot seat, Chicago, Houston, other places where they're talking about coaches potentially returning. Things are starting to kind of come out of the woodworks a little bit. Not necessarily that someone's going to be fired, but you're getting that general feeling. What you're getting here in Denver is just a general feeling of who knows.
Yeah.
So really quick, and Nate Stevens on Facebook says, first of all, we need to fix this QB situation fast, and we all agree. I mean, the Broncos, if they don't fix this QB situation, aren't going to go anywhere next year. So the question is Fangio's job sort of in the hands of the young QB that he sort of destroyed? Is this going to be a little bit of karma?
It'd be really funny.
What's
for me is that if we roll with everybody into next year, Vic Fangio comes back for his final year of his contract, right?
Right.
Yeah. Drew Lock comes back for the final year of his contract, and it's the Drew Lock and Vic Fangio show, you know what I mean, heading into the final year to see if they have any future. That is a possibility, you know what I mean? And it would be really interesting, like you said, to see that matchup, and something that it seems like every opportunity that Vic Fangio had to put Drew Lock on the shelf, he's taken it.
Yeah, he definitely has. So what do you think, Matt? Does Drew Lock sort of hold Vic's future in his hands now?
It's difficult because I think there was a part of that would have been the storyline prior to the COVID outbreak. I do think that was kind of leaning towards that. Now with the COVID outbreak, I think it just depends on how competitive Vic Fangio can keep the Broncos with the hodgepodge squad or the band of misfits or whatever cool nickname you want to give this current Broncos team this week.
It's the island of misfit toys.
There you go. So essentially, it's almost switch things. One quick thing I want to go back real quick to Jody's comment about Dan Quinn. So I'm one of the people that do not want Dan Quinn. I just think that you're going down the same path of let's get another defensive-minded head coach. Let's get another veteran head coach. Let's go down another retread. If you're going to start over, let's start over. It's a lot easier to find yourself a competent defensive coordinator in the league, as we've highlighted on the show. The defensive mentality and the top defenses that we all thrived about, the 85 Bears, the 2015 Broncos, those defenses are slowly going away, and you're hearing about all these high-power offenses. It's a lot harder to get these young guys in these OC roles. It might be time to go after more of a Kellen Moore, a Nathaniel Hackett, and go get yourself a more of a Vic Fangio type DC. So, for example, if Mike Zimmer gets canned in Minnesota, there's a good option for DC. Right. Different things like that. So I'm on the opposite. If we clean house, go with the offensive mind.
So, and Mohammed on YouTube says, Keith, I have a feeling that Peyton is not going to fire Fangio. And I think all of us have sort of expressed that.
Yeah.
Either that feeling or those concerns, recently. I mean, Fangio could be good if we do sort of as Matt has talked about. We bring in a very, very good offensive coordinator and somebody who is going to be sort of a co-head coach, and help Vic manage aspects of the game. So we'll see how it all shakes out. We got 2 more weeks and then Black Monday's upon us, and we'll see what happens. So it'll be interesting. All right, now we're to the fun part of the show, gentlemen. and Matt is just kicking our tails, Keith. So,
man, I'm really up there now.
Well, I'm thinking that there was some miscalculation somewhere along the line. We weren't as sophisticated when we first started, so I'm thinking Matt really doesn't have 119 right choices.
I'm thinking that too.
I'm thinking he's probably around 110, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm actually,
right.
it's not a bad calculation because I've been kind of keeping up on ESPN's tracker since we've been doing this, and that record's beautifully accurate.
Oh man,
just saying, guys. Sorry, I hate to break into you.
Might need a screenshot next episode.
Right,
I'll have to look for it.
So. All right, there were no Thursday, no Saturday games to go through, so we're gonna just get straight into the picks. The Falcons at the Bills. I just don't see the Falcons having a chance of going up to Buffalo and winning, so I'm going with the Bills. Matt, where are you going?
I'll keep it simple. Bills as well.
Keith?
Bills lost last week.
Bills won last week.
Oh, did they?
Bills beat the Patriots last week.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. That's right. Oh, gosh. I'm like all mixed up. So I'll go with the Bills because that's what I had anyway.
Yeah, I was like, where are you going with this one, Keith? Where are you going?
Oops.
All right.
One more sip of coffee.
Right. Yep. Where are we going now?
Next game, Giants at the Bears. Boy, this is ugly.
It is so ugly.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
Giants without a quarterback, the Bears with a horrible coach and misusing
no quarterback
QB.
Well, Justin Fields isn't playing. Fields isn't playing. He's hurt.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, so it's Andy Dalton.
Oh man,
this is the battle.
I better change my pick then. I went with the Bears.
Well, I mean, the Giants are starting Mike Glennon, so I think you still made the right choice because I'm going with the Bears as well.
So, no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't change it because Andy Dalton's starting over the Giants. So, Keith, where'd you go?
Well, Andy Dalton is our QB1. At least that's what we heard at the beginning of the season before the draft. So, Chicago Bears as well.
All right. Next game, Chiefs at the Bengals. This might be the game of the week. You guys know how I feel about the Bengals. I love me some Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all those guys, but Kansas City's just on a roll. I don't know if Cincinnati's defense can slow down this offense. What do you think, Matt?
Real quick, there's a question I want to address real quick. I know we're doing pick'ems, but there was a Matt Ryan question. So real quick, a lot of people don't know about Matt Ryan. He has a huge dead cap hit. He can only be obtained after June 1st. So we would be waiting very deep into there, and it would take a huge, hope, prayer, and a miracle for something like to happen. It is an option, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's a huge risk to wait that long.
Exactly.
So
back to pick'ems real quick. The Bengals, we talk about week in, week out. They're super young team. They're on the right track, but are they pretenders this year? I feel they are pretenders this year. I think the Chiefs go take them to the woodshed.
Oops! Oh, dang it! Happy finger again.
That's
Keith,
all right.
I didn't even let you get. Tell us your reasoning, though, Keith.
Hey, look at last week. What the Bengals did to the Baltimore Ravens. This team is absolutely dynamic. They're playing at home. I don't think, yes, the Kansas City defense has absolutely stepped up, but has that Kansas City offense looked phenomenal? I don't think so. I think this could be a close game, and I say a Bengals win.
I would be happy if that happens. I really would be. Because that means next week the Chiefs are playing for something. And when I go to the Broncos and Chiefs game, I'll be watching hopefully a competitive game and not just, here's our second and third string guys. So I think that, and I went back and forth on this one. I was going to pick the Bengals, and I don't know, but yeah, I don't think Kansas City's offense or defensive coordinator is going to run his mouth about Joe Burrow either before the game, and say we're not ordering him a gold jacket yet. So, and then Joe Burrow just takes that as motivation to go out and throw for 525 yards and 5 touchdowns. So,
right,
yeah, I think that Cincinnati can expose Kansas City secondary. They're not a great secondary. So, and with that 3-headed monster they have there in Cincinnati, it could be. I would not be shocked if Cincinnati wins. So
very good.
We'll see.
All right, Dolphins at Titans. Dolphins really need this game. Tennessee also needs it too to stay in the hunt for the number 1 seed. So I'm going with the Titans. Matt, where are you going?
This is going to come as a shock, but there's not a hotter team in the NFL right now than the Miami Dolphins. I believe they're winners of 7 straight, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
They are killing the field. Their defense is playing lights out. Brian Flores has went from, is this guy going to be on the hot seat to possibly one of the Coach of the Year candidates if the Dolphins gets weak in the playoffs.
And Keith, where are you going?
I'm just going to go back to that hometown team. I think this is going to be a really tight game, but Tennessee finds a way to pull this out. So,
boy, this thing is sensitive today. Yeah, and I agree. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Dolphins could win, but I picked Tennessee just because it's in Nashville. So we'll see what happens.
The Miami Dolphins have a new illustrious record. They're the only team to have a 7-game losing streak as well as a 7-game winning streak in the same season.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a pretty impressive stat. So
yeah.
All right, Raiders at the Colts. I made this pick before I found out that Carson Wentz has been cleared to play. So because I was not going to put any confidence in Sam Ehlinger, you know.
Oh, come on now, Dave.
So I went with the Raiders. I'll stick with it, but I think the Colts are going to win. So
see,
Matt, where are you going?
I was taking the Colts even with Sam Ehlinger.
You're brave.
If I'm willing to put faith in Drew, I got to put faith in Sam. So here we go, Colts. But Carson Wentz is playing.
Put faith in who?
I said if I got to put faith in quarterbacks like Drew, I got to put. If it's only fair if I do it all the way around.
Man, he always gets those digs in, doesn't he?
Yeah, no kidding.
It was the only one of the show. I was nice all show.
Yeah, I agree. Fairly well.
You have been. So, all right, Keith, where are you going?
Also didn't realize at the time that Wentz is going to get the start, but I think the Raiders actually have a little bit of momentum. They have a chance at the playoffs. They looked pretty dang happy when they won last week. So I think I went with the Raiders on this one. See if they can continue the magic.
Okay.
So the 1 week I do pick the Colts, everybody goes against them.
I know. Funny, huh?
Right.
I see what happens.
Well, we didn't think Carson Wentz was playing.
No faith in Sam Ehlinger, sorry.
So, yeah, when I saw that pop up this morning, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jaguars or Patriots. Anybody want to go Jaguars?
No.
Anyone?
No. Go ahead and get those happy fingers.
There you go.
Just skip through this one really quick.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, Buccaneers at the Jets. Does anybody think there's a prayer for the Jets?
No.
And I'll say yes, no.
Oh,
that's an easy one. We can fly through that one. Happy fingers.
Eagles at Washington. I think this could be a close game, but I'm going to go with the Eagles at the end. Matt, where are you going?
I think
Matt always picks Washington, so.
And I typically do always pick Washington, but this team has kind of slowly just lost itself for the last couple of weeks. There's just a lot of issues within that organization, and I'm going Eagles.
And Keith, are you a Washington fan today?
I'd love to be a Washington fan. I think actually it's going to be a pretty competitive game, but Gibson's out as well for Washington, so I'm giving it to the Eagles. Make it sweet, man.
All right, next one, Rams at the Ravens. Don't know if Lamar Jackson is playing.
He's not.
He is not. They finally come out and said it. Huntley just came off COVID, correct?
Correct.
Yep. So this will be interesting. I'm going to go with the Rams. Matt, where are you going?
I am going with the Rams as well. Even if Lamar was playing, I would be going with the Rams.
I think I would too. This Ram team's starting to gel. So
Cooper
I think
Cup
all those pieces are starting to come together. And it's nice to see Odell Beckham on a team he's appreciated on.
Does Cooper Cup break the record? Calvin Johnson single season record. It won't happen today. He needs at least 120 yards today to stay on track to beat it next week.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that will be interesting. So, Keith, where are you going in this one?
I think the Ravens are one of those teams that probably even when they're healthy, were probably playing above themselves. So I really don't give them a chance here. So Rams 3-way.
And Matt, you were going to say something really quick before I
No,
went to Keith. What were
I was
you going
going to say, if he breaks Calvin Johnson's single season record this year, does he deserve MVP?
Of course, I think he does. I think he's a prime candidate for MVP, but unfortunately, that's become more of a
quarterback
club
award.
It's sort of like the Heisman Trophy, it's become more of a quarterback award, and every now and then they'll sprinkle in somebody else. But
yeah,
so all right, next game, Texans at the 49ers. Interesting game here. Texans are starting to play some good football.
I think they're a 2-game streak, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're on, and they put a beating on the Chargers last week. So
yeah,
I don't see them going into San Francisco and do this. I believe that Trey Lance is getting the start today. Is that correct?
Yes,
is Jimmy G out?
Yes.
So we'll see what. But I'm gonna go San Francisco. I think they just have too much talent. Matt, where are you going?
This is actually tougher with me with Trey Lance coming in and being cold. I picked the 49ers, so I'm sticking with them, but I would not be shocked if the Texans find a way to win today.
And where are you going there, Keith?
If you could play back the last 15, 30 seconds in my voice, it's exactly what I would say. San Francisco, man.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked as well if the Texans go in and win this one. So
yeah.
They're rallying for David Coley. That's what they're doing. They like him.
Yeah. Yep. And here's another good game. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It could be game of the week as well.
It could be. I don't see it that way. The Cardinals there's something wrong with that team, and the Cowboys are they're on fire, and I'm gonna go Cowboys.
Cowboys find a way to cowboy today. I'm going Cardinals.
Wow. Keith?
Cardinals, I believe, are 0-4 in clinching games.
They are.
So I'm going to go Cowboys.
All right. Hey, we got some games where we can make up some ground on this guy. Keith.
I know, man.
And then next week we're not even taking his picks. So it's just going to be you and I. We're going to handicap Matt and see if we can catch him.
See if I can sweep the board with wins.
Right, we would have to. But you know what? The thing is, hey, we're all well over 500 on our picks.
Yeah.
We would all be winning money in Vegas. Matt would just be winning a little bit more. Yeah. But I think you and I, Keith, have taken more risky picks at times that have paid off. So
yeah, and not
so we would get higher odds, and we'd probably be making more money than Matt.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Me and you'd be driving in. Keith and I would be driving in like Chevy Cavaliers, and Matt would be driving like an old Ford Pinto or something.
Ooh,
hey, it gets me to where I gotta be, baby. That's all that matters.
Panthers at the Saints. Sam Darnold getting the start again. It sounds like it's going to be a combination of Sam and Cam.
Oh, God. You talk about bad quarterback issues. I mean, they're right there with us.
The Saints, I mean, we don't know who's going to be their quarterback. Is it Ian Book? Is it they tried to get Drew Brees to come out of retirement last week and he wouldn't do it? So I'm just going to go with the Saints. So that Panthers team is a disaster. Where are you going, Matt?
I'm going with the Saints as well. Some interesting news. It seems like there's some bad blood blowing in Carolina. There was a report released this week that the owner of the Panthers is embarrassed that he hired Matt Rule at the rate he did.
Wow.
So, I'm wondering what's going to happen in Carolina moving forward. But they got too many questions. They got a good team, just no quarterback. Who knows? Bad coach. So, Saints.
And Keith, where are you going?
I cannot win with Sam and Cam. I cannot win. With the Saints, I pick. All right.
It's always great to throw in a little Dr. Seuss on a Sunday morning. So
there you go, buddy.
Let's do it.
Whoa. Lions at Seahawks.
Oh, come on, David.
Well, everyone saw mine. Everyone saw mine. I'm going Seahawks. Matt?
I thought you were taking the Lions. I thought you and Dan Campbell, I trust. I thought
you know what? I wouldn't be shocked though. The Lions.
I wouldn't be shocked either. The Seahawks are a complete mess.
They're a mess. The Lions, they've been playing some close games. I wouldn't be shocked if they won. I'm not going to pick them though.
Yeah, speaking
But I
of
think you should pick the Lions, Matt.
I think that's hilarious. I'm taking the Seahawks even against my better judgment. Another really quick headline, real quick. There was another headline released today that the tension between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson continues to grow.
Well, guess who will win that fight? Pete
Probably
Carroll would be fired.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
If they can do it in time.
Right. Keith, where are you going?
Yeah, I got to go with the Seahawks. I think, again, it'll be a close game, but home field advantage, that's one place team does have one. That's where they'll get their 3.5 points.
Right. All right. Vikings at Packers. No Kirk Cousins, so I can't remember to get Sam something, I believe is his name that's starting, or Sean something.
Sean Mannion.
Yeah. So don't know anything about the guy. I'm gonna go with the Packers.
Yeah,
even with Kirk Cousins was playing, I'd probably go with the Packers.
Yeah, we talked about MVP type seasons and how the MVP is likely going to. Aaron Rodgers is having another MVP caliber season.
Yeah.
Hasn't even I think he's thrown less than 5 picks this year, or he has 5 picks. Yeah. It's insane. The dude is 40 and still killing it. Packers are going to win this one by a landslide.
Keith.
Yeah, just keep sweeping them up, buddy. Packers, I just don't see that, especially with Kirk Cousins out. This would have been an interesting game to have Kirk Cousins playing and see if those two could kind of sling it out, as Kirk Cousins puts up some pretty good yards too. But I think it's going to be an all Packers show.
Yep, definitely is. All right, the Sunday night. Oh no, this is Monday night game. Browns at the Steelers. Could be Ben's last game at Heinz Field. I'm going to go with the Steelers just because of the emotional aspect in it. Could be Ben's last game in that stadium. So, Matt, where are you going?
I believe he has come out and said it will be his final last game.
Unless they make the playoffs and somehow miraculously get a playoff game, which probably not going to happen.
And get a home game? Oh, wow.
Even with the emotional thing, the Steelers are a fractured offense. I mean, they're a fractured team. They're kind of just lingering on, kind of slowly, Browns are going to put this season to sleep. And there it goes. End of an era in Pittsburgh. Browns win.
Question to both of you really quick. Do you see Ben signing somewhere else, or is he just done?
I think he wants to. Will he? I don't know.
Keith?
I think he's done.
Yeah, and I think he is too. I think he's going to really evaluate it after the season and say, you know what, I've had a lot of injuries and everything else. I've had a long run, so I'm just going to call it quits. Where are you going with this?
Just can't accept that, though.
That's true. Some guys can't. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe he'll end up in Denver.
Oh,
God help us.
If that's the season next year, 4th and 99 has been canceled, guys.
Yeah, my wife, who's a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, has been saying for the last 2 years that Ben needs to go. So, yeah, we definitely don't want him here in Denver. All right, Keith, where are you going with this game?
I think we could see flea flickers, double reverses, just about anything in the offensive game plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers as they try to get a win, and I think they do. I think they do it for Ben. So, Steelers win.
All right. And Nate says he thinks it's pretty much guaranteed that Ben retires. I wouldn't be surprised. So hey, go out, Ben. Don't hang on too long, and then people remember you of a horrible end to your career. So
yeah.
How Brett
Ben Roethlisberger and the Houston Texans in his final year or something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah. Brett Favre's the perfect example of guys who held on for too long. And he's regretted it.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys, here we go again. We're to that point. The Broncos at the Chargers. So give me the winner. Give me your score prediction and who the MVP of the game is. And if you don't think the Broncos are going to win, you can give me the MVP off the other team too, because if you want. So myself, there's too many cards stacked against the Broncos today. Too many players out. Drew is going to be playing with a very, very young receiving core. think that's going to lead to some issues. Defensive players out. I'm going to go to Chargers. I'm going to go 27-13. And I'm going to say my MVP will be Colorado's own Austin Eckler, who will get multiple touchdown scores.
All right. Well,
Matt?
I'm not going to be deferring too much against your what you're saying. A lot of it's come true to say, but I think the Raiders gave the the remaining AFC West opponents for the Broncos the blueprint how to beat Drew Lock, Pat Shurmur, and the Broncos. This funnel defense stunted the run with offensive line issues again. I feel like they were going to do the same thing. I think run game struggles, and this game isn't pretty for Drew Lock or the Broncos offense, and it's 24-3.
Wow. 24. Ooh. Wow. And Jody Moncrief is going 38-7 Chargers, and he's saying Herbert. And then we got Nate Stevens, who is saying Chargers 35-10 and Herbert as well. So,
wow.
Keith, do you have any hope for these Denver Broncos?
I do. If you look at our record against the Chargers, if you look at Vic Fangio's record against the Chargers, we match up very, very favorably. We've had their number. We've had their number this year. Our last loss was the final game of last year against them in the against the San Diego Chargers in the Vic Fangio area. I'm hoping for a little. Oh man, I gotta get that jar.
He said
that
twice today.
That's number 3.
Oh, is that 3 today?
Time. Yeah,
man.
I was gonna wait till the end to get the full tally, but
oh boy, boy,
you owe some money to the jar, Keith.
Yeah, boy, good thing we weren't putting $100 bills in there.
No kidding. I would.
Yeah, we'll just take 100 Venmo after this.
Be a very quiet show every time we talked about this. About the Los Angeles Chargers. Jeez, even got the great big old logo right up in front of me. That being said, I am going at the Broncos. I'm hoping that this team, like they've done all year, can step up in those positions where we've been down. We've done fantastic in that regard. I don't think this is going to be a barn burner. I'm seeing a 16-14 win by the Denver Broncos. My MVP is going to be Brandon McManus, as it's going to be 1 touchdown, and it's going to be 3 field goals to get us there to 16. So,
all right.
Let's hope Keith is right.
Yeah, I hope Keith is right. I really do. I mean, it'd be nice to beat the Chargers again, sweep them this season, but. We'll see what happens. We normally do have their number, but I think the Chargers just have too much that they're playing for.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece too. And Herbert was my MVP. I forgot to say the MVP.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not bad.
All right, everybody. Thanks for the show. Thanks for joining in. Nate, Jody, everybody else. Muhammad, thanks for the comments. We appreciate the comments throughout the show. Hey, come back tonight, 6 p.m. We're going to be here. We're going to break down the game. Matt, Keith, and myself will talk about the game, and we will talk about just general football stuff, I guess. And we'll get y'all prepared for tonight's game is Cowboys and Cardinals, correct?
Correct.
Yes, I believe so.
So might have to have that on in the background while we're doing the show. So, but remember, 6 p.m. tonight, and we'll go from there.
That's not the game tonight. That is
it's not. What is the game tonight?
Give me a sec. I just had it and I lost it. They play at 2:00, Dave. I don't know where you're getting us on the wrong track there. Who plays tonight is the Vikings and Packers.
Oh, that's right. I was excited for that because I thought Kirk Cousins was going to be playing. Now it becomes a little less exciting of a game. So,
all right. Keith,
there's my parting shot.
That's all right. Keith, you got any parting shots you want to make me sound like an idiot with?
The only thing, no idiot sounding here, man. I guess I just I think most Bronco fans heard Dan Reeves passed away, former Broncos coach.
Yes.
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to him. He had an amazing career in the NFL. 8 years as a player, running back for the Cowboys. Followed it up with about 3 years of coaching, and then went on for 23 years as an NFL head coach. One of the few that actually have 200 wins to his name. I believe there's only 9 that actually have that. Dan Reeves, a Bronco icon and legend. So I can use that name icon for Dan Reeves, can I?
Yeah, you definitely can. And I can't believe totally forgot that whole thing, and apologies and condolences to the Reeves family.
Yeah.
I believe Dan Reeves has been involved in the most Super Bowls out of anybody as coach and player.
Correct. 9.
So, 9, yeah. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, our condolences to the Reeves family, all the players and everybody who's played with him, coaches that have coached with him. We lost a good man. So,
yeah.
All right.
Guy.
Yep. All right, everybody, join us tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we will see you tonight.
Celebrate that win.